Some people didn't leave your life by accident, you just haven't realized it yet. When your soul grows, the universe starts cutting away everything that keeps you from rising, and if you ignore this, you'll stay trapped in a cycle that was never meant to be yours. Most people think they lost someone, when in reality they were being protected. That's the part almost no one has the courage to admit. When your soul is ready, the universe removes people, not to punish you, but to protect you. And that's exactly what you're going to understand today. Because as painful as it feels, every separation has a hidden meaning, and it always reveals something about your destiny. You felt that strange silence after someone left, haven't you? That sense that something broke, but at the same time, something inside you finally exhaled. That's not coincidence. It's an invisible movement that happens when your expansion starts to disturb everything around you that's stuck. It sounds counterintuitive, I know, but often the presence of certain people was slowing down your transformation. Today, you're going to learn how to recognize these signs, why some relationships simply don't survive your growth, and most importantly, how to accept what the universe has already decided for you. And I promise you this, once you see this clearly, you'll stop suffering over who left and start being grateful. Because this video is going to show you step by step how separation is actually the first sign that your life is shifting for the better. Get ready to understand something no one ever explained to you, and that can truly change the direction of your journey from this moment on. He always notices that the universe acts before he has the courage to act. It's almost as if life has a quiet way of placing him exactly where he needs to be, even when he insists on staying where he shouldn't. When a door closes, the soul feels it first, that small internal crack that no one else sees. But if he pays attention, he realizes that the separation that bothered him so much also brought an odd sense of relief, as if intuition whispered that this no longer belonged to his destiny. And it's in that emotional gap that transformation begins. He slowly understands that some doors close because keeping them open would hurt more than protect. The soul recognizes movements the mind takes longer to accept, and the universe uses exactly that to guide him. Sometimes it's a friendship dissolving, a relationship that no longer sustains his expansion, or even a job misaligned with his purpose. He feels fear, of course, but learns that the cycle was asking to end. And regardless of the pain, the transformation started long before the ending became official. He remembers a time when he lost something he believed was indispensable, an old relationship, almost comfortable, but limiting him. At the time, he couldn't see it. He only saw the emptiness. But today, looking back, he realizes that the painful silence was the bridge to something greater. The universe created a space he would never have created himself, and that expansion only happened because there was separation. It's like pruning a tree. It hurts to see the branch fall, but that's what makes the tree stronger and more beautiful. He begins to notice a pattern. Whenever he feels his soul shrinking, a decision needs to be made. And when he hesitates, the universe decides for him. It's almost funny, like those moments when someone keeps delaying leaving a toxic environment until something happens and pushes them out. He realizes that this isn't bad luck. It's destiny nudging him in the right direction. To handle this in practice, he learned to observe daily discomfort, conversations that drain him, environments that diminish him, commitments that suffocate his essence. These signs usually come before the door actually closes. He also started adopting small rituals to better understand these internal movements, writing down what he needs to release, taking silent walks to hear his own intuition, reading authors who help him decode his purpose, like Jung, or even classics like Think and Grow Rich, which reinforce the power of clarity. These simple habits illuminate the exact moment a cycle needs to end. And every time he opens himself to listening, he senses that a new phase is forming, even if he doesn't know what it is yet, the exact kind of clue that leads into the next topic. He realizes that true growth doesn't make noise. It grows slowly, deep inside the soul, like a seed breaking through the soil in the dark, long before anyone sees a sign of life. Sometimes he doesn't even notice he has changed, until something that used to excite him suddenly feels empty. And that's when the universe begins rearranging everything around him. A natural, almost inevitable pulling away reveals which connections match his expansion and which remain stuck in an old cycle. It's quiet, but profound. He feels this especially in moments when he finds himself more mature, more aware, more aligned with his purpose. It's interesting. When the soul grows, intuition gets sharper and small things begin to irritate. Shallow conversations, relationships that require him to shrink, environments where his truth doesn't fit. It's not that he feels superior, it's that his transformation needs a new space to exist. The universe responds by removing what no longer resonates with his destiny, even if it seems strange at first. He's experienced this before. There was a time when he insisted on keeping close to people who were emotionally in a different rhythm. He felt guilty distancing himself, as if it were his duty to maintain connections that only weighed him down, until he finally understood that expansion and stagnation can't coexist. A soul in growth naturally changes its surroundings. It's like climbing a floor. Some people stay on the ground level, and that's okay. Everyone has their timing. And this understanding brings a freedom that at first arrives wrapped in silence. Over time, he learned to see that silence as a signal. When everything becomes too quiet inside him, something is being reorganized. To honor this movement, he started simple practices, writing down repetitive thoughts, doing breathing exercises to notice what intuition is trying to say, and reading authors who speak about destiny, purpose, and transformation. These small actions reveal that the soul grows long before he understands where it's taking him. And the most fascinating part is that this silent growth always comes with a strange sensation. Not sadness, not joy, but the feeling of standing in front of something new, still invisible. He realizes that whenever he feels this, some area of his life is about to change. Relationships, career, dreams. And this change never comes alone. It arrives with a natural separation that prepares the ground for the next teaching, where he finally understands why loneliness often arrives before life's biggest turning points. He learns, sometimes painfully, that some people enter his life as bridges. They help him cross difficult phases, calm storms, and understand forgotten parts of his soul. But they're not final destinations, and the universe makes that clear when the natural cycle ends. Even so, he tends to cling. After all, no one likes to feel someone drifting away. Yet intuition always gives signs, conversations that cool off, meetings that no longer flow, a growing silence between two people who once understood each other so well. That's transformation asking to take place. He sees this pattern when he thinks of relationships that once felt eternal. There were friends who were essential in specific chapters of his journey, almost like lanterns lighting up dark stretches of the path. But as his expansion began, those same lanterns no longer illuminated anything. It's not their fault. They fulfilled a purpose, and when a relationship fulfills its purpose, the universe redirects it to where it needs to be, even if he doesn't yet understand the destiny behind it. This became clearer to him during major transitions: a new job, a new city, or a new lifestyle. People who seemed fundamental simply didn't keep up with the rhythm. He realized that every transition demands a new emotional landscape. Just like you don't carry an entire bridge to another city, he understood that some people only make sense in certain stages of the journey. He didn't abandon gratitude, but he let go because his transformation required movement. He started seeing people as chapters, not the whole book, and to apply this daily, he began observing how he felt after seeing someone. Did he feel expanded or drained, purposeful or exhausted, connected or obligated? These small perceptions became compasses for his soul, and when he noticed that some relationships drained more than they nourished, he knew the universe was showing that the bridge had fulfilled its role. It's a quiet process, made of intuition and inner silence. Deep down, he knows this understanding opens space for something greater. When he stops holding on to what already served its purpose, he creates room for relationships that truly belong to his destiny. And this freshly opened space works like a half-open door, pointing to the next learning, where he begins to understand why solitude sometimes arrives before the greatest revelations of life. He starts noticing that solitude doesn't arrive as absence, it arrives as invitation. A quiet invitation, the kind the universe delivers without explanation, simply placing it in his path, as if saying, "Sit here for a moment." At first, he finds this pause strange. It feels like a separation without reason, but if he looks closely, he sees that this silence carries a message only the soul recognizes. It's the kind of moment that precedes a deep transformation, even if nothing external appears to be happening. He remembers phases when, no matter how surrounded he was, he felt a peculiar emptiness. It wasn't sadness, it was a calling. It was as if his intuition were pulling him inward, asking him to look at parts he had forgotten. And as uncomfortable as it was to admit, it was during those lonely periods that he discovered truths he never would have found in the presence of others. The universe always uses silence as a tool when it wants him to see his destiny more clearly. In time, he learned that solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's like that pause before the music starts again, or the moment when the sculptor steps back to look at the sculpture. He realized that when everything around him felt too quiet, some part of him was being rearranged, and often it was that very pause that helped him understand what purpose was trying to emerge. It was his soul trying to grow, and every kind of growth needs space to breathe. To navigate these moments, he created simple routines that turned solitude into an ally. He walked through parks without headphones to hear his own silence. He wrote down difficult questions he'd been avoiding. He read authors who spoke about destiny, purpose, and expansion of consciousness. He realized solitude helped him break old cycles and see patterns he had never noticed. It was there, away from the noise, that the universe delivered answers it had been trying to send him for a long time. And so he understood that solitude doesn't distance him from the world. It brings him closer to himself. Each time he accepted its invitation, some part of his life made more sense. Relationships became clearer, decisions became easier, and his heart found courage to release what no longer contributed to his transformation. And without realizing it, from this deep silence, he gained the sensitivity needed to understand when the heart knows, before the mind, exactly what awaits in the next topic. He always found it interesting how the heart notices things long before logic catches up. It's almost as if the soul has its own radar, detecting movements he can't yet understand. Intuition shows up first, always as a subtle discomfort, a strange silence after a conversation, a feeling that doesn't match what's happening. And then he realizes the universe speaks through these signs, warning that the cycle is shifting. The mind resists, but the heart never lies. He remembers clearly the last time he felt this. He was in a relationship that looked good on paper, but something deep inside, way down in the soul, already knew there was no purpose left there. It wasn't conflict or exhaustion, just a growing distance. The heart recognized it long before the mind did, and when he finally listened to that quiet intuition, everything clicked. The transformation had already begun, even while he was trying to keep everything as it was. The universe works like that. First it whispers, then it pushes. He began noticing these warnings in many areas of life, not just relationships. Sometimes it appeared in his work, which no longer made sense. Other times, in habits he kept out of routine, but that no longer supported his expansion. The soul speaks through the body, a different kind of fatigue, unexplained restlessness, a lack of spark when he wakes up. These are subtle signs of destiny, asking him to observe more and force less. And when he follows these signs, everything starts to realign around him. With time, he learned to train this awareness. He set aside minutes each day to listen to what his heart was trying to say, sometimes walking in silence, sometimes writing down what he felt without filtering anything. To strengthen his intuition, he read about purpose and consciousness, explored authors who wrote about inner transformation, and practiced simple meditations aimed at noticing what he had been ignoring. He discovered that when he truly listens, the answers come quickly. Today, he understands that when the heart speaks first, it's because the soul is foreseeing something the mind isn't mature enough to grasp yet. And if he respects this inner timing, he'll realize every intuition guides him toward paths that truly belong to his destiny. These moments of clarity are usually the first step into something greater, and interestingly, within these gentle warnings begins the process of clearing his path, leading to the next topic. He discovers that when something needs to change, the universe begins a silent cleansing, not a cleanup he chooses, but a purification that happens on its own. Suddenly, situations start dissolving, people drift away, and opportunities lose their shine. The soul pushes for space, and this movement creates a void that feels frightening at first. But as he pays attention, he realizes that separation isn't loss, it's preparation. Destiny rarely builds something new without clearing the space first. He experienced this when he had to end a cycle he insisted on keeping out of fear. It was a job that drained him but offered security. When he finally listened to his intuition, the kind that whispers in the silence of dawn, he realized he needed to let go. And strangely, right after that decision, doors that had been locked for years began to open. He understood that purification is an invisible reorganization. The universe removes what limits him to make room for what aligns with his purpose. This purification also happens in habits. He realized some behaviors he kept out of habit were actually blocking his expansion. The habit of saying yes when he wanted to say no. The habit of carrying others' expectations. The habit of staying where his soul no longer fit. When he began letting that go, he literally felt his body breathe differently. It was like taking off a heavy backpack after a long trip, a relief that only appears after courage. To make this cleansing more conscious, he started simple symbolic rituals, organizing old drawers, deleting conversations that kept him tied to the past, reviewing goals that no longer reflected his destiny, writing lists of things he wanted to release. These practical actions carried powerful symbolic weight. They showed the universe he was ready for transformation. And it's interesting how external changes, even small ones, activate deep internal shifts, almost like turning a key. Over time, he learned that purification isn't just about removing, it's about revealing. As the universe clears the excess, what truly matters begins to appear. Aligned people show up, new ideas bloom, unexpected opportunities emerge. And in this clean, renewed flow, he discovers what actually belongs to him. This awareness naturally leads him to see the burdens he carried that were never his, what leads to the next topic. He realizes he carried a weight for years that was never his. A weight made of expectations, emotional responsibilities, and stories he adopted as if they belonged to him. Sometimes this burden arrives so early in life that the soul grows believing it's normal. But the universe always finds a way to reveal the truth, usually through unexpected separation or through silence that forces him inward. And in those moments, He realizes that part of his pain was not his own. It was a reflection of others. He remembers taking on emotional roles that were never his, being the family peacemaker, the friend who always saves everyone, the partner carrying the entire relationship on his back. These roles drained his expansion, suffocated his purpose, and stole energy he didn't even realize he had. Intuition tried to warn him, but he ignored it out of fear of being selfish, until he finally understood it wasn't selfishness, it was emotional survival. Destiny never asks anyone to carry what doesn't fit their soul. There's an important detail. When he drops a burden that isn't his, many people complain. After all, they were comfortable while he held everything, and this is where transformation begins. He realizes that those who truly care will walk beside him, not on top of him. Those who distance themselves after his liberation reveal that the connection was never about love, but convenience. That separation, though painful, is liberating, and the universe always supports those who choose their truth. To release these burdens, he began practicing simple exercises, listing what truly is his responsibility and what isn't, noticing which conversations exhaust him, identifying people who only show up when they need something. He also learned to say no more firmly, even when he trembled inside. Small steps, but ones that create enormous transformation. Reading authors about boundaries and emotional awareness helped him understand where his soul ends and someone else's begins. As he releases these weights, he feels something almost physical. A lighter body, clearer mind, sharper intuition. It's as if the universe finally had space to guide him. And in this renewed state, he starts seeing the ending of cycles differently, not as painful ruptures, but as disguised doors leading to a higher level of life. Exactly the kind of revelation preparing him for the next topic. He always found it curious how an ending feels like punishment at first. That hit that knocks the breath out of him, that separation that arrives without warning, that silence that settles like the universe turned off the lights. But over time, he realizes no ending arrives by accident. The soul knows before the mind that some cycles cannot continue. And ironically, in the exact moment everything seems to collapse, transformation begins forming, still invisible. He remembers a phase when he lost almost everything at once: relationship, job, stability. It felt like destiny was dismantling his life piece by piece. But looking back now, he sees that chaos was a necessary detour. The universe had to remove what was preventing his expansion. The ending wasn't punishment. It was a strategic redirect. And despite the pain, none of those losses were truly his. He learned that every ending carries a hidden door. It doesn't show up immediately. Sometimes it's camouflaged inside pain, confusion, or the feeling of not knowing what to do. But those who listen to their intuition, even shaking, begin to notice small signs: a new idea, an unexpected conversation, a quiet opportunity. These are the cracks through which the universe shows the direction of destiny. He just needs the courage to look. To recognize these doors, he began practicing something simple. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he started asking, "Where is this trying to take me?" This change of perspective made his soul exhale. He realized every ending brings practical lessons. Reorganizing priorities, abandoning old habits, seeking environments aligned with his purpose. This approach doesn't eliminate pain, but gives meaning to it. And when pain gains meaning, it becomes a compass. Today, he knows every hidden door invites him into expansion he doesn't yet understand. And as he accepts this truth, he starts seeing endings as disguised passages, not walls. This understanding places him before another essential insight: the honesty of the soul, that quiet force that always guides him toward what is real, even when he resists. And that is what waits for him next. He realizes the soul has a raw honesty, one that cannot be negotiated. When something is not aligned, it sends warnings, first softly with a slight, almost unnoticeable discomfort, then with intuition that insists, even in silence. And if he ignores it, the universe intensifies the signs. He has felt this, that sensation of being in the wrong place, with the wrong people, living a cycle that no longer matches his destiny. The soul speaks quietly at first, but never stops speaking. He has tried ignoring these warnings. He tried convincing himself that some relationships were still good, that certain environments still served him, that certain choices still made sense. But the body doesn't lie, and energy doesn't hide. The soul always reveals when something is shrinking him. He notices this in small reactions, constant fatigue, lack of spark in his eyes, irritation that appears out of nowhere. These are signs that transformation is trying to be born, even if he insists on staying where he no longer belongs. With time, he learned to see this honesty as an ally, not a threat. When the soul says no, it's because something inside him already understands that the path can't support his expansion. He started noticing situations where he felt drained and those where he felt alive. It changed everything. He realized aligned people help him grow. Misaligned people require him to shrink. The universe never hides this. He is the one who sometimes pretends not to see. To make this listening clearer, he began writing direct questions. Does this inspire me or exhaust me? Am I here out of purpose or fear? Does this expand my soul or trap it? Simple questions, but ones that work like flashlights on a dark road. He also explored readings on self-awareness, destiny, and intuition, which strengthened his inner clarity. And the more he listened, the more he realized that the feeling of truth is unmistakable. It brings peace, never confusion. Today, he knows the soul's honesty always points toward lighter paths, even when the beginning feels turbulent. And when he learns to trust that internal movement, he discovers the universe begins working with him, not against him. This trust, almost sacred, opens space for a reunion with what truly belongs to him. And that reunion, this merging of destiny and truth, prepares him for the next topic. He notices that when the universe removes people, situations, and paths, it's not an act of destruction, it's an act of return. A return to what has always been his, but was buried under noise. His soul recognizes the moment before his mind does. He feels a new lightness, a clarity emerging from silence, almost like meeting himself again. Nothing grand happens at first, but everything begins to align. It's like coming home after a long emotional journey. He understands that rediscovering his destiny isn't a single event. It's a series of small confirmations, a conversation that inspires him, an effortless opportunity, a sense of peace while making decisions, as if intuition were guiding every step. He begins to realize the universe works in sync with whoever honors their purpose, and the more aligned he feels inside, the more smoothly things open up outside. Doors that open gently, not by force. This reunion also reveals something powerful. Everything that felt like loss was actually liberation. He looks back and sees that separations were necessary to reveal the true path. People left because their cycles ended. Opportunities disappeared because they would have led him off track. Painful silences created space for answers. Destiny isn't about how much you keep. It's about how aligned you are. And alignment always creates expansion. He reinforces this reunion through practical actions. He begins defining goals that reflect his soul, not outside expectations. He invests time in activities that uplift his energy, studying what awakens purpose, connecting with people who inspire growth, choosing environments where he belongs. He protects his peace as a priority, understanding that no transformation can last without it. Every small choice becomes a confirmation that he is finally walking at the right pace. And in this process, a profound realization emerges. When he follows this aligned path, nothing that is truly his requires struggle to remain. Things flow, the right people arrive. Life stops being a battle and becomes a building process. This reunion with his destiny closes the cycle of lessons and at the same time opens the space for everything that comes after. Now that he understands how the universe removes people when the soul is ready, something shifts inside him, and that shift needs to be honored, because understanding alone isn't enough. It must be lived. He begins looking at his life with more courage, seeing where he's still holding what he should have released long ago. And maybe this is your moment too, to look at your relationships, your cycles, your inner silences, and finally stop ignoring what your heart has known for a while. So let me ask you this: what have you been holding on to that you already should have let go? Who remains in your life out of habit, not truth? What has your intuition been warning you about that you keep postponing? Your answers can change everything if you're brave enough to face them. The truth is simple. When you accept the universe's movement, your life aligns. Destiny becomes lighter, the soul breathes, and transformation, once distant, starts unfolding right in front of you. But this only happens when you act, when you choose to stop fighting for what's already over and finally walk toward what's truly yours. So if this video made sense to you, if any part of it touched something you've been avoiding, I invite you to stay on this journey with me. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep learning every day about the soul, purpose, and the truth that transforms lives. There's a lot more depth coming, and I want you to be part of it from the beginning.